Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharshibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. So we saw that the Mundaka Upanishad was the beginning where the tradition of the teacher to the student was listed out. Brahma Jeshtaputraya Atharvanaya is how they started. The first born, Brahma, has given it to the Jeshtaputra, his eldest son Atharvana, and then thereafter the lineage of the rishis who have been teaching that. And the particular questions which is related to the Mundaka Upanishad is the dialogue between Shaunaka and Angiras, where Shaunaka asked the teacher Angiras that Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāde sarvamidam vijñādam bhavati. O Master, in which knowledge does reside the knowing of everything? That knowledge becomes the being or the knowing of everything is what I am looking for. Adihi, please teach me. The teacher says that, yes, Dve Vidye Veditavye. There are two methods of learning this knowledge. One is called Aparavidya and the other one is called Paravidya. And he says, Paravidya is the one, Yaya Aksharam Adhigamyade, knowing which we go beyond the decay and death and become immortal. And Aparavidya is listed that all the four Vedas, the Vedangas and Upangas, all those were listed as Aparavidya. Means rest of everything other than that which will take you to beyond this cycle of birth and death. All other knowledge becomes Aparavidya or lower knowledge. The highest knowledge is the one which makes you free and immortal, knowing which everything will be also known. So to know what is not, he starts listing out from the Aparavidya. So these two cantos, first canto and second canto, even though he gave a brief glimpse to the Paravidya is what in the first canto, but his main discussions were explaining on the Aparavidya. Till now, the sixth mantra, what was detailed was the methodology of Karmakanda or the rituals and the methodology of karma which are required for following punya, to generate punya karma in the life. So having mentioned that the yajnas which are given in the Atharva Veda, Yag Veda, Sama Veda, etc. Also the Ishtapurta, Chadurmasyam, all of those type of which is done by punya karma for the social service or the philanthropic life. He is including all of them. They are not, that it's not bad. They are all within the realm of time and space and causality. So therefore, what begins has an end. And therefore, whatever may be the height of the yajnas or the good karma which you do, they are limited by the time and space and causality. So what begins has got an end. And that will give you a result which a impermanent thing cannot also not give you a permanent fruit of action. So all the fruits of action of those karmas also, however great they are, they have limitation of time. Therefore, their results also will be in limitation of time. Kshine punyam artyalogam vishandirda. Bhagavad Gita says that after having consumed the fruits of action, whichever realm you are in, whether Surgaloka, Brahmaloka, wherever may be the loka which is with which you intended to get that fruit of action, the moment the consumption of the fruit starts, it starts diminishing. And there will be a time when there will not be any more fruit of action left for which there will be for doing that Chine Punye Martirogam Vishanti, then you will have to be born again. So this cycle of birth and death happens in spite of having the best of actions which are being done in this life. So he now moves to that to indicate the 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, 11th mantras are basically giving the indication of the nature of the karmas and what these people who are recommending or talking great about these karmas, how they have to be understood in the real sense to know when your question was very particular. What is that with which everything will be in the knowledge in which everything will be known? So these knowledges which are being described by these karmas, yajnas, meditation, satkarmas like Ishta, Purta karmas, all those things are limited within the time and space. So they have the limitation. So those who recommend also come under within the realm of that. These are explained in the next 5 slokas, which will go through one by one. Plavahyete. This is the 7th mantra of the second chapter, second canto. Plavahyete adrada yatnya rupa ashtadasha uktam avaram yeshu karma. Edaishreya yas abhinandanti muda jara mrityum te puna eva apiyanti. What does it say? It says that plava, like the flimsy boats or the rafts, indeed are these fruits of action which are done by adrada yatnya rupa, which is a weak yatnya, because the yatnyas themselves have got time, space and causality as a limitation, and which is done by ashtadashakoktam. There are 18 limbs of those yajnas which are mentioned in that. And they are avaram, inferior in nature because of their limitation. And in these karmas, yeshu karma, edat shreya, this, what is the shreyas, is exalted or praised by this muda, or the indiscriminate one, who do not know what is the effect of the karmas which is being done by, even with these may be very cumbersome and very elaborate and all those things, but everything is within the time and space. So they are very weak, and the boat or the one which they are explaining that you will cross over to the Brahmaloka or Swargaloka, etc., they are also weak, because any slight error in doing these karmas, the results can be detrimental and can cause even the greatest of the damages. So those who are recommending that, they have to be called muda, or this indiscriminate one, because they do not know the trick or the problem of doing such intricate things in that, and in spite of the fact that the result of that is also limited by the time and space. And such people are jara mrityum e yanti puna puna. And those people who are following that will definitely come back again, taking birth and old age and death again and again. So this is the why it is called adrada, and which is called inferior. Then in the 8th mantra, he says, avidyayam andare vartamana swayam dira panditam manyamana janganyamana pariyanti muda andenaiva niyamana yadahanda. Now this part, andenaiva niyamana yadahanda, we have seen that it is there in Kathopanishad also. The blind leading the blind. That example is being told for this part, those people, Panditam Manyamana, those who consider themselves as, Panditas, or they know that they have all the knowledge about the karmas and the result of it. But they are also Janganyamana. Janganyamana means they are not Prashanta Manasa, they are not sattvic or not, they are not in the sense that their mind is settled or they are agitated or they are get excited by the activity and the slightest of the slight. They have not controlled their, uh, you know, senses or emotions and everything. But they think themselves as very, very wise and learned. So then in the avidyam, in the ignorance, within Andare Vidyamartamana, they are remaining in that Vidya. What is the Vidya? Vidya here talking about is that the true knowledge with which Yaya Aksharam Adhigamyade, by which you can cross over the death and decay, that they do not know. So they are remaining within the realm of the ignorance, which is why they are prompting and recommending the karmas to be done. And they are also there, again the word Muda is used is to indicate that because they are the blind people who have not knowledge about what is the one which can really make you cross over the cycle of birth and death and make you immortality, amrudatvam. That amrudatvam hi vindade, that the gaining of the state of immortality, how it can be happen is not known to them. So they are in the state of avidya. Therefore, they are like blind people, and they are also leading the people who are following them as by leading the blind, is what this Upanishad says that. This example is, we saw that in the Katha Upanishad also. What does it, these two say that? I am reminded of an example of, imagine about a system where, you are trying to learn swimming. It's a very crude example, but for the understanding it of, if you are in the initial stages, you will be in the short, shallow region where, you will not go into the deep areas. You will be playing with your, hands and legs and try to dip yourself, not dipping your head and all. That is the bala state or the childish nature of enjoyment. They think that is the enjoyment. Here, the body is getting wet and you feel that, you can float. Floating is different from the ordinary world where people, you cannot float when the normal sins. You need to float means you need to have a special situation. Then only you can float it, either induced by drugs or things like that, or you should be flying in an aircraft or things like that. But in water, anybody who goes to the water can then get a feeling of floating in the water. So that should be considered as a different loka altogether, or enjoyment, where you can get wet and you will become cool, you will be pleasant, and you can continue to be enjoying that. Then there are the second category of people who think no, you can use floats and start still floating around. And then you start floating around, you thinking that is the time when Pandita and Manyamana, that those who think that, now I have learned to swim and I can swim, because they are using the floats to swim. And then they think they have conquered the controlling in water, and they start removing the floats and swimming. That is how they learn the swimming. But still, they have not understood the calamity that can happen in the water. However expert swimmer you are, the limitation of the swimmer compared to the potency of the water is enormous. You cannot think. Then you may go to the highest of the highest place where you can have a cliff diving and the high type of all sorts of things which you can do in water. But even that, compared to the mighty ocean or the waves or the whirlpool in the ocean, nothing can stand the power of water. So all the knowledge which we have got are still very limited compared to the power of the water. So I consider these people are like the Pandidam Manyamana, who think that, by enjoyment is in floating. Here they are saying that enjoyment of Swargaloka is the enjoyment and you should do the karma. And karma is always, you are limited by your actions of, your organs of action. The limitation is there because you have to do it with your organs of action, and then you need your body for performing. And we all know that our body is a limited experience. We have the body when in different stages we can do different stages. Balavas, but as a youth you can do things. As old age happens, when what will happen. So the limitation of the body is limiting that even the fruit of action is the best of the fruit of action. When the body is not in a condition to enjoy it, you cannot enjoy the fruit of action. But when will the fruit of action come? Nobody knows that. Even those people who recommend these things, the actions of, punyam will happen or you will get all those things. They are not able to predict when the result will come, because time is something which cannot be predicted by anybody. So the time of the fruit of action coming is totally not in the control of anyone. Yet they think they know they have the knowledge of all those things, and blindly they lead others, and until they drown in the water themselves. This is the state of people who are following the blind people or following the karmas. One more example is being given in the 9th sloka. Avidyayam bahuda vartamana vayam kridartha idi abhiyanti balaha yat karminaha na pravedayanti ragad tena aturat shina loke chevende. Avidyayam bahuda vartamana. Immersed in the greatest of the greatest ignorance, vayam kritartha iti manyamana abhiyantiman. Vayam kritartha, we are contented because we had a very successful yaga, we had a very successful, karma which we did as per the vidhi, nisheda and everything. And they think that they are kritartha, they have the satisfaction of having done what is done, the contentment comes in it. And that is the pride in them, abhiyanti. Abhiyanti means the pride comes because we have done the karma or the yaga as per the dictum what is given in the Vedas. But they do not know that is avidyayam vartamana, that is still within the role of avidya. Avidya means here is not the vidya. Vidya of that which will yaya aksharam adhigamyade, beyond which will take you beyond the decays. That is not within the realm of avidya. That is in the case of jnana vidya. So those who take pride in the karma, rituals, and they are driven by what? Ragat, by the attraction of the result. Enjoyment of the fruits of action is the one which is making them to go back again and again into the water to swim, because that is their enjoyment, what they think, but never knowing that when can water overpower you and drown you. They do not know that. So adura china lokaha chevande, they fall when they become tired. Even the greatest swimmer, when he is tired, he cannot swim, the water overpowers him. So something similar will happen to these karmas which we are doing, that when the karmas bring the result, if you are physically and mentally not in a fit condition to enjoy it, you may be made the king of or the monarch of a country, but your eyes are not in function, your ears are not in good condition because of the old age when it happened. And what type of a king can you be if you cannot listen to the praja or cannot enjoy the kingdom because your organs have become weak? So all sorts of limitations of time and space is indicated in the karma kandas. So therefore, they are considered to be bala, mean that immature ones. They do not know what is the reality of the karmas and their fruits and everything. So here also again, even though the karmas were given in the Purva Kanda of the Vedas, it is to show that they are a limited experiences and they have got one. One who wants to be out of that experiences of limitation and beyond the death and decay, he is the one who will look for the proper vidya or the knowledge, yaya aksharam adhigamyade, with which you cross over the ocean of sorrow and decay. Next mantra, the 10th one says, Ishtapurtam manyamanaha parishtam nanyastreyo vadayanti pramudha. Nakasya prushtete sukrate anubhutva imam lokam heenataram va vishanti. Ishtapurtam manyamana varishtam. What does it say? Ishtapurtam are the rituals of Ishta, and Purta are the two type of activity which is apart from the Vedic yajnas. This is Ishtapurtam is ordained by for every human being by the Vedas. What does Ishta and Purta stand for? Ishta is like doing you are creating rest houses for travelers, digging wells for human consumption or animals, and giving annadanam or type of free food and this thing. All those things come under Ishtam Purtam. And those who consider that Manyamanaha, Varishtam is supreme, and there is no Anyasreha, there is nothing other than better than that. This is the best way by doing that, the service to the Naraseva, Narayana Seva, etc., being extolled in the Srutis, in the Smritis. So it is all for at least not doing something, instead of doing bad, people are made to do good things for the society by these things. But you are not going to be free from the limitation of time and space and causality by all that, because these actions are all within the limitations of time and space and causation. Therefore, they are pramudaha. They are the indiscriminate who recommend that nakasya prushte sukrute anubhutva. Going to the nakasya prushta means Swargaloka. So going to the different levels of lokas which is given in the Shrutis and Smritis, and anubhutva, having enjoyed that sukrute of good results or the fruits of good actions, what you have done during these Ishtapurtam and all. Chivandi, they fall back. Heenataram loke, they fall into the lower realms of world, where they have to rebuild all those gunas for going again to the higher lokas. So even in the Bhagavad Gita, that these verses have been reflected there also. Even though it says that nakaschit kshanamavi jatutishtatya karma krit, you cannot remain as inactive person even for a kshanam or even for an iota of second. And Shine Punye Martyalogam Vishanti. After having done with all those things, you will still fall. You have to come back to this world for creating fresh fruits of action, because when you do not have any fruits of action, your life cannot move forward. So you need to do that, whether good or bad doesn't matter. You have to take birth to do action. This is when you think you are the body. And with the body only you can do the action. Manasa, Vacha, Karmana are the three main methods in which you can do the karmas. So whatever you do in that realm of mind, body and intellect, you are limited by space and time and the experiences of the world. So if you are in this, even in this Ishtapurta type of activities, there is a limitation. Even if you go to the Brahmaloka, the highest of the Brahmaloka, that is also limited by time, because that is also part of creation. So yat kritakam tat anityam. What is created, in spite of the fact it is the highest of the highest world, the length, the length of that world is limited by time and space. It is just like saying that wealth is you can have immense wealth, but how the wealth can depreciate and deplete is only a question of the type of expenses that you are forced to do with when you are, if you are forced with a very life-threatening disease, even all the wealth which you have cannot buy even 1 second more of life for you. That is the time or type of the wealth cannot get, because that has got limitation in time and space. So whatever is created within the realm of manasa vacha karmana gets depleted and depreciated, and you do not have it to continue your life, that is the time when you have to take birth again and again. You are not becoming immortal and knowing it. But the question which Shaunaka asked Angiras is that, Yaya aksharam adhigamyate. What is that? Kasminnu bhagavo vijnade sarvamidam vijnadam bhavati. So that is what the para knowledge is, what he is looking for. So not to get confused by the limitations of actions, which is even offering the Brahmaloka or Saraloka or the greatest enjoyment which you can think. That is limited, and therefore, in fact, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a beautiful called, word that they're saying this. Manushya, that king of the entire earth, Adrishto, Dridishto, Balishtaha, he is with the prime health, and he has all the energy, and all his sense organs and organs of action are in the prime state. And in spite of all that, he is saying it is nothing compared to the next of, different careers of the lives are being mentioned in the Taittiriya Upanishad. But at the end of it, it says that it is nothing compared to the one who knows the Brahmatjnana or the truth of the real of Atma and Brahma. His happiness is much beyond all those happinesses. Even the Brahma, Indra, all the Gandharva, Manusya Gandharva, Deva Gandharva, Indra, all of them are inferior compared to the happiness and that feeling of wholesome or freedom which a Brahmatjnani or the one who knows the truth is enjoying. So that is what it is saying in the 11th shloka, this Upanishad. Again he says, tapasradde yehi upavasanti aranye shanda vidvamsa bhakshacharyam charandaha suryadvarena ta vyate viraja prayanti setra amrita yah purushahi avyaya atma. Now starts the tone of the Upadesha or the address by the teacher is changing. Now these shlokas are called the entry shlokas into the Jnana Marga or the learning of the truth. As if when you are in a highway, when you see the exit toward the city where you want to go, the last board where you see the exit and you take an exit. These shlokas are something similar to that, where you are now entering into the realm of the real teaching of the Tattva. So for that, these three shlokas are preambles. So tapasradde, the meditation and offering. Ye hi upavasanti, who take to these tapa and shraddha, that is, tapas means meditation type of thing. Shraddha is the offering, shraddha. Aranye were not in the hustle and bustle of the city and the village or the family and all. Aranye, which is the grazing lands adjacent to forest. Because Aranya, Vanam is a forest. Aranya is that land which is between the city or the villages where the cattle is taken for grazing and there are no human interference. It is a pristine green field and quietude and all those things there. So that in such a place, Shanda, who is peaceful in nature, Vidvamsaha, they have studied the Upanishad part of, or the Tattva-jnana, all those things. And Bhikshacharyam Charandaha, they do not possess any material of their own. Even for food, they come to the village as per the system which he was following those days. They are supposed to visit 7 houses. And even if one house is only giving, they should return the 7th house. They should not go to the 8th house to fill their stomach. That is how the Bhiksha is being defined. So Bhikshacharyam Charantaha means that by following the Bhiksha principle of what is ordained by the Shruti, and Te Suryadharena, by the grace of the sun, Viraja purifying themselves, Prayanti, they go to Yatra Amrita, immortal Sa Purusha, He Avyaya Atma. They go to that Avyaya Atma, immutable Atma. They go to that place where their activities are considered to be that which the sun himself will directly uplift. This is metaphorical again, because in the earlier slokas, mantras, we heard that, the fire of the Ahuti, the flame, he hands it over to the sun, and then sun takes it to the higher lokas. In this sloka, the Upanishad itself says that their activities in that solitude, when they are Shanta, they are not Janganyamanaha. They are not disturbed ones. They are peaceful and they are Vidwamsaha. They are in the part of Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, in the Aranya where nobody is there to disturb. No, and they are not in the forest where animals can attack them. They are in a place where peace and tranquility is pervading by the breeze and the greenery around the grazing land. And such a place, when they are in a meditative mode, they are being exposed to the sun rays which are supposed to be lifting them to that world where immortals go and meet with Avyayam Atma. The immutable Atma is what they will attain, is what is being shown not by the karmas which have been explained till now, is what in the earlier sloka said. Now this sloka which is coming, the 12th sloka, is a very, very important mantra which has been quoted almost every time by Shankaracharya, Sureshwaracharya and all the Acharyas to indicate what the Upanishads want to convey. If you want to know where does the real instruction start for this Upanishad, we can say it is this mantra onward the Upanishad is starting the teaching of the reality of the truth. The mantra goes like that. Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmanaha nirvedamaya nastya kritakritena tadvijnanartam sa gurubeva vigacche samitpani shrotriyam brahmanishtam. Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmanaha nirvedamayat na asti akritaha kritena tad vijnanartam saha gurumeva abhigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam. What does it say? Pariksha lokan, after having scrutinizing or examining all the experiences, lokan iti lokyate, is the experience, the world of experiences. Pradibodha viditam matam amritattvam hivindade. Please do not forget that mantra of Kena Upanishad. All experiences, they have pariksha, means they have scrutinized with all analytical processes with which they can do that. They have done that analysis of lokan, all the experiences. Karma chitan, what has been attained through karma. So what experiences they gained through karmas have been scrutinized by Brahmanaha, the discriminate one, Brahmatnyani, Brahmani Vartade, iti Brahmana Ramana here, the one who is reveling in the Brahma Chintanam. He scrutinizes all the results out of karma and understands that Nirvedamaya, they get into a state of dispassion. Because why? This dispassion or Tyagamanas, the Tyageneke Amritattva Manasuhu, is a famous statement. In that abandonment or dispassion, only you can get immortality. To get that, the dispassion can be generated only if you do the pariksha, if you scrutinize the acts and the result of it. Na asti kritakritena. There is nothing, not a single product of action is there which can take me to that truth which is beyond time, space and causation. So here the Brahmana, or the one who is intending to learn this truth about Brahma, he goes through the analysis of all actions. Let us individually also look into all the actions which we are doing it. Is there a single action in our life which will give us immortality or the sense of freedom? Forget of immortality, we don't know what is immortality. Forget, let us not get into that immortality part. At least, are you free? Are you free? Are you free from limitations? Limitation of time and space, or the body. The body has been a limitation for us. From the child, we had a limitation. When you youth, there was a limitation. When you are middle-aged, you have a limitation. You are an old man, you have got more limitation than the other, all the things. When we think that we are the body, we are all limited into such an extent that the limitation or the freedom with which the Upanishad talks about is never felt when we identify we are the body. Therefore, all the actions which we did for the body, through the actions of the body also, what type of fruits only can it bring? Because the tools with which you make or use your action has a limitation of the tools and the time space with which the results can come. The tool with which we have been doing karma, actions are the result of the body. Manasa vacha karmana. So therefore, all the enjoyments of the mind, body and the intellect which also are being brought by these actions which we have done have been limited by the time and space. So, Nirveda Maya, therefore we develop a dispassion towards these things, that they have got a role to play for the keeping of the body, but I am not going to do that for my enjoyment. That is not my prime motive. Whether I live or not, or whether I enjoy or not, that is not my lookout. I need to know what is that with which I can go beyond the cycle of birth and death. Tat vijnanartham, to know that truth. Sa gurumeva abhigachet, such a person should go to a guru. And with what? Samit Pani, those days Samit Pani is the Samit is a firewood for the Agnihotra. The Guru is supposed to be doing Agnihotra because those days fire was the most important aspect of life, livelihood, because it is not like we have a matchbox or a lighter or anything like that. They depended upon the firewood for their keeping the fire burning, both for cooking as well as for the heat, etc. So firewood was very much in need of those. So Samit Pani plus the Yajnas. For the Yagas also you need Samit. So all those things, those days what the Guru wanted, here we should say that in the modern times, it is more with an attitude of self-surrender and offering for the seva. What the Guru orders, you should be able to carry it out. Not in the sense of physical or any material gift, because here we are saying that in the first part of the sloka itself, they have decided that material things are futile. So naturally, the Guru also will not be asking you for material things. So such a Guru, that is why Saha Gurumeva Abhigachet, Samit Pani. And what type of a Guru? He has to be a Shrotriyam. Shrotriyam means Shastram is his life. One who lives by the Shastra. Shastra here you have to take all Shastras which are giving the right direction for the knowledge. Shrotriyam, and the Shrotriyam means one who is retaining the Shastras to teach also. He listens it, Adhyanam, Adhyapanam. Both are, for that you need Shrotram. You need to hear, you can listen to that, then only you can teach also. So such a Guru will be the one who will be knowing to teach you also through words. And he has to be a Brahmanishta. Nishtha means established. He has to be established in Brahman. He is a person who knows what he is going to teach. A person who is convinced about what he has learned or what he is understood his real nature, only such a person can tell what he is. If you think that I am a wealthy man, I can only talk from a person what I think I am a wealthy man. If I think I am a poor man, I'll talk from the point of view of a poor man. But if I know I am a maths teacher, I'll be prepared to teach as a maths teacher. I'll be teaching science if I'm a science teacher, or if I am an expert in any of the musical instruments, I'll be able to teach that. So these are all nishtha of each of the teachings. Here, what is the nishtha he is talking about? Aham Brahmasmi, that my nature is Brahma. That should be the nishtha of the teacher, that I am that immutable, changeless, and infinite, Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma, that I am. That nishtha is mandatory in a teacher, then only he can teach what it is like. Others can only talk about it, but their words will not carry the conviction with which they can talk about it. So it has to come from an experience. A teacher who has learned a music instrument can know even a slight change in the note which is being played by the student so that he can correct it. That knowledge for even the mundane things, we know how hard it is to obtain. So what to talk about the jnanam of the Brahmanishta? So such a teacher who is convinced about that Aham Brahmasmi, and the student who is coming is also Brahman. Only thing is that he is not able to see it from the way in which I am seeing. So I should make him understand. The student should know from which direction, or what is the place where, or what is the methodology with which I have got convinced. The same should be transferred to my student. Then he also becomes established. That is the intent of the teacher, not by wealth and propitiate thing, all those things which the guru wants, a Mercedes Benz or a palace, or all those physical things are not what the guru will ask. If a true guru, he will be asking you to learn and experience exactly what he has, if he has experienced. That will be the method in which he will be teaching. And that can come only if he is a Shrotriya. He has understood the Upanishad and he can teach that exactly how the Upanishad intended to know. The words are cryptic. The rishis have been talking in a very cryptic language. So unless he has studied and understood those cryptical languages to convert into his personal experience, such a teacher cannot experience that, nor can he transfer that experience in his teaching to the student. And in that last mantra, before we stop here, Tasmai savidwan upasannaya samyak prashanta chittaya shamanyutaya yenaksharam purusham veda satyam pravojatam tattvata brahma vidyam. Here starts the Brahma Vidya. How? Tasmai savidwan, to him, the learned, the teacher Brahma, who is in a Shrotriyam Brahmanishta, Upasannaya, for the understanding of the student. Samyak means crystal clear. Without even a iota of doubt, he will teach you. And what is that nature? Prashanta Chittaya Samanyidaya, who by nature itself is peace. Prashanta Chitta, his Chittam, his way of expression in the intellectual level is Prashanta. Prashanta means Prakarshena Shanta. Extremely, his words will be carrying the peace in it to the listener, so that the peace drenches the listener. Samanyudaya, and he is not disturbed by the student asking 100 times the same question, because he is a personification of patience. And such a teacher only that can remove even the last bit of doubt in a student, because he has to be Shamanyudaya. Shama means patience or with control on himself. With the peace eluding from him and with that control without which he doesn't lose control of, again, he doesn't get angry on the student because his intent is to transfer that experience of his own to the student. So he knows the student is also the Brahman with which the same thing. There is no two separateness. He sees the oneness. Yet the student doesn't see the Brahmanishta in his see. That obstacles which are there need to be removed. So in a very peaceful way, without losing patience, he teaches to that Upasannanaya. Satyam Pravaja, he imparts that knowledge of truth, absolute reality. Tam Tattvadaha, to him that truth is being explained or is being transferred. Vidyam, Brahma Vidyam, the knowledge of Brahma. Or in that way he transfers this knowledge of Brahman to the student who has come to him with all those Samitpani, Sashotriyam Brahmanishtam. After having Parikshalokan Karmajidan, having explained, experienced, and all the experiences have been scrutinized, he knew that these are not what will give me that freedom or the limitation beyond the time and space, and where I will know that my own reality. Who am I will be known only if I know from a person who knows who he is. To such a guru he goes with folded hands, with all the due respect, and with ego surrendered. We have seen this happening in the Kena-Upanishad when Indra went to that Brahma. When the teacher, the Vidya comes in the form of a lady, Usha, Uma, and teaches that knowledge. Here, the same way, when with having understood that no action can give you the result what you are looking for, abandoning all the actions and the interest in their fruits, he comes with humility and open mind to a Brahmanishtam guru who, without getting lost or without losing his control, in his very peaceful way, he teaches the Brahma Vidya to the student. With that, we'll stop here, and the real Brahma Vidya teaching starts from the next Kanda onwards, which we'll take in the next Wednesday class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavada. Thank you all for listening.